in Malleshwaram and goes and joins and becomes a Vrishabhavati tributary which joins the Arkavati and then joins the Kaveri eventually. So let me get started. Okay. All right. So a lot of the terrain of Bangalore, the larger terrain of the city, sort of looks like this. And the idea of the lakes got created because people saw this naturally happening, and wherever the water naturally went, they would build these earthen bunds or dams and hold the water in place. Right? And Bangalore is not like the book Deccan Traverses. They make a distinct point that Bangalore is not a city of flow. Typically a river flows into a lake and then the lake continues to flow into something else, into another river maybe. But in Bangalore is a system of overflow. So every time in the chain of lakes, if you take from the right to the left, you find that there's always a lake series. No, a lake is not, a tank is not, I'm sorry, I keep using the word tank and lake interchangeably. The tanks are all based on a system of overflows from one tank to the other. So if there is some interruption in the middle, then downstream everything gets affected completely. My computer is misbehaving, so you have to put up with me for a... Okay. So Bangalore was actually known, this is the larger original, what do you call it, graphic map. And it is supposed, this area is supposed to have 1,000 tanks. Why I said 1,008 is it's a lucky number. It's a number with some significance in Indian philosophy. 1,008 is supposed to be an auspicious number. And you will find that all of them are connected in 3 separate series around the city. Right? So the creation of the tank networks predate Kempegowda back to the Ganga dynasty. As far as we know, that the history of Bangalore is much older than we thought. And there has been some remarkable work done by Uday Kumar and his team called the Inscription Stones of Bangalore, which proves that there was a settlement much, much earlier. And there are inscriptions to say that this area was well populated and this tank culture was already embedded in place. However, Kempegowda the first, who is credited with creating this city, right? Creating this town that we call Bangalore. Bangalore was never a village which became a town. It started unusually as a town, a fully fledged town. It did not have a village history which grew into a city. And when Kempegowda also created these tanks, many of them to feed water to the city. And tanks like Dharma Buddhi Kere, Kempa Buddhi Kere. Kempa Buddhi is actually named after Kempama, after whom Kempegowda is also named after. And also partly responsible for creating Alsur tank, because he also built the Someshwara temple in Alsur. And this was the beginning of it. And these are interesting pictures from, I will show you a lot of old pictures. These are the pictures of the first water supply scheme to the city was actually in Alsur. This is the waterworks, what you see on the screen there. And that is how the Kempegowda Tower actually looked. Now the style is very different. It actually had a version even previous to this, but this was what it looked like at the sort of a Vijayanagar kind of style, which has been rebuilt many times over and over. And you see that this is the first waterworks of Bangalore built to supply water to the village of Alsur. And you also find that behind the Someshwara temple, this Kalyani, which was completely covered with houses, has been completely recovered. And apparently they are now going to make it much nicer there. This is how the other tank even looked as late as 1976. Many of you do not know where this is, at the end of Shamrajpet. And this was also a source of drinking water at one time. And this is everybody asks, where is the 4th tower of Kempegowda? This is the one which is still standing in order. And this tank also has been now, the sewage has been diverted and I think it's trying to come back to life. This was the main tank, which is now the bus stand and the metro station. And you can see that, the tank as a conception was not conceived, is very different from a lake which is perennially full of water. The tank was meant to dry down and become, in summer, actually, people actually used to use the tank bed for multiple activities. The Dharmabudhi tank bed, which is now the bus stand, was used to have a circus. You can see the board still there. And it also used to be the place where exhibitions were held. And the base of the tanks is in.
Hello.
Can you all put up, make your mic, the thing on mute, please? Things. Okay. So they used to be used for multiple activities, for recreation, for leisure. There used to be a big Congress exhibition on that ground every year, the Dharmabudhi tank bed. And then it became a bus stand, and then it lost its original purpose. And then the tank completely vanished. Once the Kaveri water supply came in, there was no need of these tanks after that, according to nobody saw its ecological impact. They just said it not needed anymore. It was converted to urban infrastructure. It was the soil in the base was also continuously used to make bricks, and so the level of the tank remained more or less the same season to season. It didn't silt up. The silt was always used to make. There used to be brick kilns on many of these tank beds when I was young. Right? It's impossible to think that a picture like this even existed. This was Sampangi tank before. This is exactly the site where Kantirava Stadium now stands. And you can still see, this is about 1930s. And you can still see Kaban Park in full glory behind it completely. And you can see that the tank is an utilitarian object. It was used for washing clothes. It also seems to have had a boathouse of some kind. There is a fisher people tribe, not tribe, a fisher people caste, I think, which still lives in Sampangi Ramnagar and still is lamenting the loss of the tank. I think Harini has written about that in her book. Right? And the tank also played a very, very important role in the oldest festival that we have in Bangalore. And even now, the Karaga festival, the clay is taken from this small tank which has vanished. It comes here. This whole thing was a huge lake, the Sampangi lake, which is now the stadium and the indoor stadium. And the path of the Karaga went like this. It's an unusual festival because it also goes into a dargah. And one of the few ideas of the syncretic culture of Bangalore in the olden days where all castes and religions lived together. And this was the original path of the Karaga, which then finally ended at the Dharmaraya Swami temple for the final festival. This is Uppanirina Kunte, which is where the Karaga visits first, actually is reduced to a little. This is all that is remaining of the Sampangi tank, a small bit of water there, very little bit of water right behind the stadium. The history of the creation of this, it continues with the reign of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. This is probably the earliest known painting of Lal Bagh, where you can see the Lebanese cypresses. And this is the rock of Lal Bagh in which you can see the edge of the Kempegowda Tower. That's what the Kempegowda Tower looked like when it was a watch. Basically, I feel they were just watchtowers because Bangalore does not have a clear boundary around it. So it needed these watchtowers on these high points to warn of any impending attack by any other forces. And probably what you see here is this, on the right is the settlement of Sampangi Ramnagar here. And in the distance, you can see Bangalore Fort standing there. This is the fort of Bangalore in the far distance. Like this is what it looked like. Okay. Again, old renderings of how Lal Bagh Gardens was one of the first created tanks started by Hyder Ali and completed by Tipu Sultan to feed the pleasure garden. And if you look at the British understood this when they came here, saying that without these lake networks, we are done for because there's no source of fresh water. Any civilization will fall apart if there is no availability of water. So the tank network, what you see right in the center is the old fort of Bangalore here. And you can see that the British mapped then, and you can see the, I don't know whether the screen is clear for all of you. All the lake networks were completely mapped as early as 1800, and to understand the water ecology of the city, where what went, how the wetlands, a combination of the lakes and the wetlands is what, look, this drawing is from the 1800s, and it's a very interesting map because you can see that this is the old fort of Bangalore, of only that little bit remains. And this is the Pete of Bangalore, the original Pete. And you notice that the entire lake systems around the city has been correctly mapped, including the drain. Every line that you see here is a bund. Okay, and this bund overflows into this, and this becomes a marsh, right? Till it reaches the next lake. And then that is a bund, and then it becomes a marshy area where the water overflows and goes in. This channel goes into the Vrishabhavati. This ridge flows into the Bellandur Kere and to Hoskote. And this also comes and then joins and flows into the Palar River eventually. So there are three valleys of Bangalore, and this was known. It's quite an amazing map considering it was made in 1800. And Bangalore also had a bound hedge all around made out of thorny bushes. The interesting part of this map is you notice that there are only 3 or 4 ways to enter the city, and at every entrance you will find a Kempegoda watchtower. This is the original extent of Alsur Lake, and you will find the Kempegoda watchtower sitting there. And you could enter the city avoiding the marsh, because if what would happen was that as a defense mechanism, the carts pulling the cannons and also the supplies would come like this, and you would find that they would get stuck in the slushy area. So they would have to come like this, they would have to come like this, or they would have to come in this gap. So in this gap, you see the Makery Circle Kempegoda Tower at the high point there. And here you see the smaller towers on this side also allowing you'll see that near the Kempapudi Kere, there's another tower. And you also see the Lalbagh Tower looking at the southwest. And this is the Alsur Lake Tower allowing the access in here. So you could easily monitor anybody coming in. And what the British did when they conquered the city is they fooled the local guys to thinking that the attack is going to come from here. And they actually came from here. And you can see the cannon positions and all the barrage positions, which are all, they came from here and attacked this corner. And well, the opposing forces were expecting an attack from the south. So you notice how lakes and water systems played a role in the defense of Bangalore also. You also notice that in 1935, as early as 1935, all these tanks are still visible. You can see Kempapudi in full form, Karanji tank, which is completely vanished now, which is no longer there, Dharmabudi Kere, which has now become the bus stand. And you see the entire sub-network of this secondary and the tertiary drains feeding into these, and you see the size of Sampangi tank, how big it was. And what you see here is Sunakkal Kere. I don't know whether any of you know it, but this is now the double road bus stand. And every time it rains, it floods that area here. And you also see that the Lalbagh Kere is fairly well formed and feeding. The Lalbagh has already started looking like the Lalbagh of today. It's now become even bigger than this. And many of the tanks now have vanished. This has vanished, this has vanished. All these have disappeared. Okay. Some pictures of what it looked like. This was the Miller Road tank, which is now houses the Congress office and the Alliance Francaise and many other institutions. This was the Bund Road, what it looked like to cross Miller's tank at that time. And Sankey tank, which was made in 1882 by Colonel Sankey, to hold all the water coming from the Hesarghatta watershed into the area. Actually, what you see here is that the whole thing here on the left is a dam, and the level below is much, much lower. And this was also used as a water reservoir for many years to feed the downstream requirement. So this was this gentleman called James Cameron, who very well developed the Lalbagh Lake in very great detail, mainly to feed the garden, and still in fairly good shape. Many of you don't know that little ditch that you find in front of the Venkatappa Art Gallery, which stands here, which actually where that guy is sitting. This is the government museum on Kasturba Road. And there was a nice little pond there, and it was an island full of bamboos. These were all removed and made into the Venkatappa Art Gallery. And these are again pictures of Hesarghatta Lake when it was a source of water for Bangalore city. Now there is, of course, now apparently for the past few days, because this year it has rained quite a lot. The tank has now got a lot of water in it for once. And again, another beautiful old picture of Alsur, Bulsur for some reason. And you can see the water tower in the background. You can see the Kempegowda Tower faintly in the background, and this is the waterworks which pulled water from here, fed the army encampment as well as the village of Alsur. This part of it actually still remains more or less like this, mainly because it's a forbidden area and you're not allowed to go inside. The military has very great restrictions. And that's what it looks like now. But it's quite polluted, is what I'm told now. They're unable to staunch the flow. See, what has happened in Bangalore also is that there has been an excessive focus on the lakes and the pollution of the lakes of Bangalore, while not enough attention has been paid to the sources of that pollution. And the sources of the pollution are the famous Raja Kaluves, the big canals, the stormwater canals, which have come through Bangalore. And many of them are full of sewage and effluent. And they're all and nobody's focusing on that. And they're actually now started a pilot project I'll speak a little bit about. The lake itself the tank itself is something to be looked at, but the water inlet into the tank is a matter of serious concern. And however much we fix the lake's own ecology, if you're going to keep on getting raw sewage and other effluents, industrial effluent flowing into it, it's like no point doing that. You can see Akitimanalli, this is right opposite my office. And I have actually seen the lake in this condition. There was it used to be called Mattank. For many years, I thought that was one word. And the bus stand also used to be called Mattank bus stop. And it used to be a nice little tank which was filled up now by a hockey stadium. A commercial building has taken away more than half of this side of it. But by concerted action by the residents, a large portion of it has been preserved as a playground with a diversionary drain going and joining the main drain. These are all pictures not very old. I think this picture is from 1975 or something. And many of the tanks also had a component of it which we don't see this anymore. With the football stadium stands behind where the football stadium is now is called Shule tank. And part of the Shule tank was this unusual picture of this Dhobi Ghat which used the water from the tank to wash your clothes on a daily. This breed is gone now. They used to deliver it with donkeys. Okay. Now let us look at what is the current situation. This is the history of it. Roughly 1960, center of Bangalore, you can see the density of the small and large lakes. So to give you a reference, that is Alsur Lake in the middle. And this is Bellandur Kere, right at the bottom. And you can see that the whole thing is all interconnected. I've not shown the canals, but it's all interconnected. And in less than, in the mid-70s, there was a malaria eradication program, the best euphemism I have seen for land grab in Bangalore. And in the guise of removing malaria, they filled up most of the lakes. And only about that much is left now. Right? Even Bellandur is in bad shape. Right? Very little is left of the original ecosystem. There has been some reports in the press about the rapid decline of vegetation and water bodies using satellite mapping. And apparently it's getting even worse than this at the current time. This is from Indian Institute of Science. And you'll also find that how the lakes are slowly disappearing and also the existing ones are shrinking dramatically. And the diagram looks good, but when you actually look at it in Google Image, Google has this timeline feature. And if you look at this Yelamalapa Lake series in the east of Bangalore, you will find that slowly, what was all like, this is the marsh which goes from one lake to another. Slowly that marsh gets filled in, parts of it become water, and you see how the transformation is happening. Buildings have started appearing on everything. You'll also see that from that Madiwala side, where the connection is there, slowly the urbanization has crept in and most of the lake system is starting to disappear. You'll see that how slowly the infill, you can see wherever the green areas is not slowly disappearing in the Madiwala area also. The other big issue that is happening is that my focus now has been for the past few years, a lot of people are working on the lakes themselves, but not enough attention is being paid to the larger kaluways, which bring in this kind of trash into and it's sewage mixed with solid waste, a lot of plastic and a lot of things. And also industrial effluents are creating these high phosphorus effluents are creating this frothing. And we have a famous canal, in the Bellandur Lake is on the front page of the New York Times every time it catches fire. This is obviously an untenable situation and this cannot be allowed to carry on. These are pictures of this is the only rivulet we have in Bangalore. I wouldn't even call it a river, which starts in Malleshwaram as well as from the Bull Temple in Basavagudi and comes through Kempagudi Lake and goes and joins the Kaveri. This was the condition of it not very long ago. And now it looks like this, full of, so this has to be, we have been trying to say that, now the government has put a 1200 MLD treatment plant on the Vrishabhavati, which will hopefully get commissioned by end of this year. And we hope to see this river back in its original form fairly soon. But right now it's a stinking, yesterday morning it was bright yellow and stinking to high heaven. And this is what it looks like. We have somebody said, the whole thing is becoming like instead of calling development palm meadows, you should call it foam meadows. And a fire, in the very few places, I think oil has got into the water and catches fire right under under our noses. Okay. What can we do to fix this? Right? So we have started working, instead of we cannot fix, at a pro bono level, I'm doing this work for the public good. We have taken one drain, which is the oldest drain of Bangalore, called the K100 drain, which comes from Dharmabudhi Kere under the old city, goes past City Market, and goes past Double Road, then goes past Neel Sandra. This is the original Koramangala tank, by the way. And then goes all the way to along the edge of the city to past the National Games Village and joins Bellandur tank here. So we're trying to see how to make this. The reason why I feel that many of these projects have not worked at it in the past is that the projects continue to treat it as a drain. But if you take an urban design approach to this and see how can we involve people in the equation, right? And try to make this into a public space where it is a used, when Bangalore only gets 62 days of rain a year. In the rainy season, it can be closed for taking rainwater. But in the rest of the time, if you can introduce some fresh water into the drain and move all the sewage flowing into a sewage pipe, which is now completely, the sewage network is complete from Shantala Silks now all the way up to the National Games Village. And from the National Games Village into Bellandur tank, only about 1 kilometer. In about 20 kilometers of drain is missing. And you also see that all the secondary, this is the main drain coming from MG Road, Brigade Road and joining at Ejipura. This is what causes the flood at Ejipura every single time. This volume of water entering here. We are trying to take this project and trying to make a equation in which we will present it in detail as soon as we have some clearance from government. But I'm just showing you a teaser here saying that if you can fix a network like this by looking at also the entire micro watershed. The watershed of this one drain is 68 square kilometer around it, all around it. And if you can fix it and make it into a public infrastructure where people are allowed to use the drain also as walking or NMT infrastructure, a little bit of cycling and also maybe walking and also become a public space, I feel that many of these drains can come back to life. And Bangalore, which lacks a waterfront, will get 400 kilometers or 500 kilometers of a waterfront asset, which will also become an ecological asset. It will be very heavily green infrastructure which will be created for the city. What will look like this will become like this. This is the vision in one portion. And we also, where it is wider, we are also planning to, this sewage infrastructure that you see here has been now pushed completely below the drain with accessible manholes. And you already can go and see the drain today. The ISPS has started pumping from the past 15 days, the sewage. And the sewage level has gone down to about 3 to 4 inches. And now they're removing all the silt from the bottom of the drain. And it will soon start to look like what you see on the right. And the wider portions of the drain, this is from Korea, and the wider portions of the drain will start looking like this. It will always have about 1 to 2 feet of water. And the top of the steps becomes the average rainfall level, and the top of the drain becomes the flood level. And when it's fully flooded, of course, nobody is allowed inside. But the rest of the time, they're coming up with infrastructure design, which will look like this. One great advantage of this is, I think, the real estate on both sides of it. What is now the backyard and the dump yard of the city will now become priced real estate on the drain itself. Right? There are many examples like this where this kind of things have been done in, this is a completely circular lake made by Ahmad Shah in Ahmedabad, which was in very bad shape. Now this has become a fantastic public space and also a water reservoir for that area. To think beyond just the lakes and to think beyond just what can we do with our drains, we keep talking about, water, Bangalore is running out of water. There has been a lot of doomsday predictions saying that there's no more water left in Bangalore. We have to vacate the city in another 3-4 years and all that. I don't think that's true, because we are I think currently, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we are getting about 18-19 TMC feet of water from the Kaveri, and with the final tribunal award, we are getting about 21 TMC feet. But the population of Bangalore is expected to grow to more than 2 crores in the next 10-15 years, and which means we need almost close to 40-50 TMC of water. Where is it going to come from? So if you look at the lake series around Bangalore, the larger area of the city, we can actually create a new string of pearls. And you will find that, there are very large bodies of water all around the city which are not looked after. And it can be used to create a Bairamangala Lake is where the Vrishabhavati goes and joins before it goes into the Arkavati and then into the Kaveri. And you can easily create a water reservoir, which is a new string of pearls around the city, if you're able to get the sewage not flowing into them. I'll just finish now in a couple of slides. These are all pictures of various lakes around the city. And we can create what I call, the Kannada is not rendering properly, but it means Mattondu Kaveri. Even if we took away about, I think Bangalore gets about 800 to 900 millimeter of rain in a year. Even if we tap 10% of it and stored it in these places, we get about the same amount of water that the Kaveri is now, we are entitled in the Kaveri River. This project, of course, needs much more research and homework. It's just a concept. But I'm saying that we didn't panic so soon. As we run out of water and we are able to conserve the existing story, we should also look at this idea of creating this new and developing all these watersheds around the city in an interconnected sort of way. Right? So my end slide is that, first you stop the pollution getting into the lake, and think of lakes as not just, and tanks, not just as individual things, but as part of our overall ecosystem. And I'm sure Veena and the others will actually show us much more about the actual assets available in the city and the physical remedies and the philosophical logic of doing this. And I would like to end here, and I'm open to listen to any questions and hopefully this picture from all this red color will change into blue very, very soon. Thank you.